the Brewers champion of the United States of America, Erin McCarthy. You ready?
Yeah.
All right. When you're ready, we are.
Awesome. There you are. Yeah. Ready. Time. Yeah. Good morning. My name is Erin McCarthy. I hail from New York City, and I'm so excited to be here representing Counterculture Coffee, the work of the Petersons at Hacienda Esmeralda, as well as the specialty coffee community of the United States. Over the next 10 minutes, I'm going to be chatting with you about the coffee you're going to experience, Esmeralda. It's a geisha variety from the Leon lot at Hacienda Esmeralda in Panama. Great. On either side of the table, I've charted for you the factors affecting the flavor profile of the coffee, and the notes on the right side are general, and I'll be getting more specific as I go. As a coffee steward, it's my job to make sure that the flavors and aromas from origin and roasting make it into the brew. All right, let's get started. This Lino lot is grown on one of the highest southern-facing parts of the farm. It gets a daytime temperature of around 25 degrees Celsius, and overnight it gets down to about 15 degrees. These relatively cool temperatures aid in slowing down the maturation of the cherry and allow that coffee seed inside more time to absorb the sugars. This is going to translate into a deep stone fruit sweetness, which today tastes like apricot and mango. The mucilage was removed the day that this coffee was picked and depulped. It was then soaked overnight to make sure that all remaining mucilage was off before being set out to dry the next day. So because the Petersons took the time to make sure that all of the mucilage was removed before the coffee was dried, you're going to get an intensely clean cup with a tropical fruit acidity, a lot like pineapple, and notes of black tea. If you'll just pardon me for a moment, this is a critical part of the brewing process. Thank you. So to capitalize on those flavor notes from origin, when the coffee got to our roastery in North Carolina, Durham, we decided on to drop the coffee into the roaster at a very high heat. And this was to bring out that pineapple acidity. The roasters then gently dropped the heat at the end, finishing at its peak of caramelization. And what that did was accentuate that stone fruit sweetness. Also, this coffee was screen sorted to size 17 so that during roasting, the application of heat would be uniform from particle to particle, of course, from coffee seed to coffee seed in the roaster. And so uniformity is also a guiding principle for how I brew coffee. I work, as you know, at Counterculture as a trainer, and so I get asked all the time, how can I brew the best cup of coffee? How can I maximize the potential of this bag of coffee that I just bought? Today, I sifted out the fines so that I could have the water extract evenly from particle to particle in the brew bed. You can see right here before you the fines on the left side, and then the grind size of the coffee that I'm using to brew with on the right. Removing these fines helped to clean up the cup profile, especially in the finish. I chose to use the Kalita Wave brewer because of its flat bed, which allows me to maintain a column of water above the grounds. This column of water, sorry, there we go. Awesome. This column of water allows the extraction to gain even more uniformity. Because of the flat bed, the coffee grounds are in a horizontal shape so that the water on top, also a column, flows evenly through and very uniformly. Great. From this, you're going to get a very syrupy mouthfeel, which leads into a black tea-like dryness. And that's going to balance really well with that stone fruit sweetness. I started my brew with a high flow kettle, and that was because I wanted most of the agitation to happen in the beginning. I then moved to flow restricted kettles. So the flow restricted kettles were what enabled me to get that column of water that I was talking about before. And what that did was it absorbed the agitation of the kettles so that I could lower the extraction rate at the end and just worry about that coffee just brewing evenly through the bed. I'm gonna get give you guys a chance to perceive the aroma. I urge you to swirl it around if you like. This to me is a classic geisha variety aroma. You're gonna get magnolia, hyacinth, and also a little bit of vanilla. Great. So for coffee professionals, variety geisha is a celebrity. Are you all familiar with the movie actress Meryl Streep? Yeah? Okay, you can fill them in later. For me, variety geisha is like the Meryl Streep of coffee. If I see that a movie's playing and I don't know much about it, beyond the fact that Meryl Streep is in it, I know that movie has the potential to be great because of her history of excellence as an actor. And I feel the same way about variety geisha. When I see it on a coffee menu, I get excited. Because of its history of excellence, I know that that coffee has the potential to be outstanding. Now I say potential because of course there are other factors involved. The growing conditions, processing, roasting, and brewing all have to be top-notch in order to capitalize on the potential of this variety. And that's what's happening here today. I also wanted to make sure that you knew that I didn't just bring this coffee because it's a geisha. I brought this coffee because Hacienda Esmeralda, how many? 2, thank you. Hacienda Esmeralda is, Hacienda Esmeralda's geisha is a milestone on the timeline of specialty coffee. After 2004, when they won Best of Panama, people got curious. They were asking, why does this coffee taste so good? And why is it so expensive? And as a coffee community, we distilled that down to variety. And then we started talking about variety and variety's impact on flavor. And that was so important, especially for the future of coffee growing in Latin America, because there are only a handful of varieties growing there. Typica and Bourbon, and all of those are descended really from the same tree. And so this lack of genetic diversity puts farmers at a disadvantage when diseases hit. This actually is directly related to this coffee, this farm. When the Petersons bought their farm in 1997, there was a rust outbreak, similar to the one that happened last year across Central America. And they noticed that one variety was less resistant to the rust, and that was geisha. So they replanted it all over the farm, like any good farmer would do. And what I find so interesting about this is that they replanted it because of the cup profile. Because of the resistance to disease and not because of the cup profile. When they learned to cup in 2004, they cupped it, realized how unique it was, entered it in the competition, and the rest is history. I want to thank you so much for your time today. It's been an honor and a pleasure. I'm glad to give you a coffee with such an amazing cup profile, as well as put it in context and give you its story and its history that's linked to our story in specialty coffee. Thank you so much.
All right, one more big hand for Erin McCarthy of the United States of America. Over here. Incredible performance.
Thank you.
That was wonderful.
Thank you.
And I could smell the coffee from over here. Amazing, aromatics coming from this coffee. You
Yeah.
described them as hyacinth,
Yes.
hyacinth, vanilla.
Yeah.
What else?
And magnolia.
Magnolia.
And I've lived in Georgia in the southern United States, so it totally brings me back there too.
Right, that's the reference for you there.
Yeah.
Well, super fragrant. Love the story that you were telling at the end about the variety being important. Of course, lots of competitors are using geisha coffees, and you sort of put that into context about how we think about varieties and the story, especially coffee itself.
Yeah, I knew using geisha, especially using Hacienda Esmeralda's geisha, I needed to think about its history and kind of say something different. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so yeah, I came back to variety. I came back to how it seems like this coffee, its popularity, shifted our understanding of what affects flavor in the cup. And then, we started seeing variety on bag labels. People ask what variety their coffee is, and that's pretty neat.
Yeah. It's super neat. And tying it into the rust outbreak that's happening in Latin America at the moment, and this amazing thing. I don't think many people know that the Petersons actually selected this variety because of its rust resistance.
Yeah, totally.
Not because of its that's an amazing little fact to think about. And then having that choice trigger this sort of flavor revolution.
Yeah, and then totally. I mean, it kind of brings it full circle to me, knowing that they chose it for disease resistance, because that's what's going to help. you know?
I also noticed you have these visual aids here that you brought that are beautiful.
Thank you.
What was the purpose of those? You're trying to orient the judges in some way about the flavors, or?
Totally, yeah. On the left side, I listed the factors affecting the flavor profile, and they're broken down by origin, roasting, and brewing. And it's basically everything I talked about, and I gave a little more detail. And on the right side, I mimicked the coffee taster's flavor wheel by using some kind of gradation of colors, and then those flavor notes are also separated by origin, roasting, and brew method.
Right. And then you've got the Kalita wave, which you talked about in your presentation, indicated on that visual aid as well, with the flat bottom being important. Yeah. Well, that was an excellent performance.
Thanks a lot.
Wonderful job. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Once again, Erin McCarthy from the United States of America.